And Race, otherwise known as the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer, the O.C.G, and hopefully I'm live. Playing Enotria last song, and hopefully Enotria is fixed. A lot of ifs, but what can you do? And I'm waiting for my girlfriend to get here. Goddamn, please give me to the little. Goddamn, please give me to the little. Hey, look at my shit, dude. God and Evan, please do me two favors. Number one, please give me for doing some deals with strength. Please do some deals with your name. Let's go through the man. Two, please do you go to the man. Goddamn, please do it. Goddamn, please do it. I do love the soundtrack in this game.
The tree of change bears fruit. Awaken, maskless one. The stage is set.
Hello, Mary. Okay, so here's what's crazy. You saw me having the problems with saving this game repeatedly, right? I actually went on the subreddit for this game and I talked about it, or the sub-Discord, the Discord server, and I talked about it and everyone's like, oh, I run into that. Okay, so they just released a patch yesterday, And the main thing it fixed was the fucking save issue with PS5. I knew it wasn't fucking crazy. And that it wasn't a hardware issue because every other game was working just fine and saving just fine. Damn it. Oh wow. Yeah, I bet they do. You don't get the pussy gets you. I said if you don't get the pussy gets you. Yeah, cats are, cats can be finicky little fuckers. What can you do? Yeah. Hold on 1 second, I'll be right back. I have to take my medicine real quick. Next thing you know, I'll be scratching you. Alright, your pussy is safe for me for another day. Please give me do my doom, Ronana. Please give me do my doom. God, I never be forgive me for doing my sons of deals and doom. God, never be forgive me for doing my sons of doom.
And here I am, darkest thing within us was where each toil a most peculiar take. The expectations of judgment. Is there no joy in the dark by an where there is all and nothing, is true peace that ran from life's relentless spotlight.
My heart and soul are one.
In the name of this dream beyond dreams, let us not yield till all is but dust.
Fuck. Hold on, let me see what it's saying. Oh my god, I'm so tired of this fucking bugs. I'm gonna kick their fucking ass. Tomorrow. Kick their fucking ass. What do you mean in Elder Scrolls Online? I mean, you said you played it a lot, so...
Peculiar take.
Ah, typical Bethesda jank.
Forgotten?
And here I thought the darkest thing within us was swerving.
Fuck. Oh, I'm right there, no big deal. I got a new game I've been looking forward to for a while. I'll play that in a bit. I just wanted to test this out and see if the saving was working fine before I committed to playing it, you know? I'm finishing it. I don't want to get super far in and get fucked again. But there's a game I've been wanting for a while called Banishers Ghosts of New Eden. And it went on sale. And only on sale for PS Plus. So the fact that I had just enough money to get it, as well as the fact that it was on sale for PS Plus, during one of the only times that I had PS Plus, I'm like, okay, I'll take this as a sign. It's really unique. It's got a heavy focus on Celtic and Norse mythology, so I think you'll like it for that. And it's set in colonial America, but like with magic and ghosts and shit.
Isn't going to wonderful?
So it's like, it's a mixture of colonial times, you know, New England America in the late 1700s, and ghosts and shit, Celtic and Norse ghosts. So I think you'll like it. And you probably, yeah, it makes sense you haven't heard of it because it's kind of a lesser known game, kind of flew under the radar. Now we'll see if it saves. Okay, it did. Got another music game for doing the new. See, before I could tell when it was having problems because it would fucking hitch up when I did that and sit there forever on the save screen. It's kind of like a trial run for Gran Turismo 7. It's like a free sampler of the game. They've done it for pretty much every major Gran Turismo, but they usually call it Gran Turismo Prologue. Now, I guess they just wanted to get funny with it, so they called it, you know, My First Gran Turismo. But it's just like letting you try out a bunch of features of Gran Turismo 7. I'm not a big fan of Gran Turismo. I prefer my racers. I don't play a lot of racing games these days, but when I do, I prefer to play arcade racing, Need for Speed, Midnight Club, you know, Mario Kart. I don't like realistic sim racers. I find them boring. I play games to do stuff I couldn't do in real life. Yeah. Well, Forza kind of straddles the line between arcade and sim, but it's still enough in arcade where I can have fun with it, but I prefer arcade racers, like Need for Speed, Midnight Club, stuff like that. Ah, shit, I did. Okay. And honestly, Gran Turismo 7 seems really kind of lackluster. Cause see, I'm not a huge fan of Gran Turismo in a lot of ways because like I said, I'm not into sim racing, but I could kind of respect what Gran Turismo meant because it was a groundbreaking racer when it came out, and for a long time, Gran Turismo set the standard for sim racing, and they pushed graphics. If there was a Sony console and Gran Turismo came out on it, it pushed the capabilities of what the game could do. You know, like Gran Turismo 4, for example, is one of the prettiest fucking PS2 games ever made. You know, so even if I didn't like, oh my god, I was in love with that, I could respect it from like a technical and ambitious point of view. And technically speaking, for a long time, Gran Turismo was the top of the roost. They were just so much better than the competition. You could not get a prettier racer. But then, somewhere along the way, I feel like Gran Turismo kind of fell behind the times and started playing catch-up instead of setting the trend. And Forza, which I thought was decent for a sim racer, but wasn't like, oh my god, super amazing, really fucking stepped it up a notch with Forza Horizon. You know, in particular, Forza Horizon 3, I, you know, even thought that game was cool. And since then, like, every Forza Horizon game has been fucking awesome. 3, 4, 5, like, they've all been huge showstoppers, really ambitious, great cars. You know, and Gran Turismo 7 was supposed to be the first Gran Turismo for PS5. I mean, it's cross-gen, but, you know, the first one to be on PS5. So even, you know, it could take advantage of features. And so, yeah, I didn't really like Forza Motorsport, but I like Forza Horizon. I was really looking forward to Gran Turismo 7 just to see the graphics, what it was capable of, graphically speaking. Because, like I said, even if I'm not super into racing, I appreciate the technical boundaries, the always push boundaries. But, man, Gran Turismo 7 looks fucking rough. Even on PS5, where it has extra bells and whistles, it is well behind Horizon. So for me, it didn't just feel like it wasn't top of the pack anymore, or setting trends. It feels like it's dated. To me, anyway. Like Gran Turismo 7 clearly looks better than Gran Turismo 6. And Gran Turismo 6 came out like 8 years ago. And was a fucking cross-gen PS3 and PS4 title. And then fucking Gran Turismo 7 was the first Gran Turismo to have microtransactions and incredibly egregious ones. I will say this, one of the things that I respect the most about Sony is that for the most part, Sony has avoided all major microtransactions. You know, Microsoft kind of dipped their toes in, and Nintendo has dipped their toes in for games like Fortnite, and, you know, obviously there's games with microtransactions on Sony, but Sony themselves never really fucked with microtransactions. They abstained. All their major first-party games didn't have them. And Gran Turismo 7 was the first major Sony game to have microtransactions like that.
Welcome to Quinta, the city of...
And I didn't like it, the precedent that it could set. Thankfully, Gran Turismo 7 went over with all of the enthusiasm of a wet fart and got massively fucking lambasted over the microtransactions, which is good in my case because it discouraged Sony from doing more microtransactions, so they fucking stopped. You know what I mean? If Gran Turismo 7 had been a success and people had dealt with the microtransactions, then it would have been like, oh, we can keep doing this. Microtransactions are fucking cancer. You know what? Like they should have stayed in mobile games. Okay? I can understand microtransactions being in mobile games, right? Or even free-to-play games like Fortnite, because you're not paying anything up front. So it's like, well, you know, you come in, we're letting you play the game for free, but you know, you throw us some money here and there to make ends meet, just to kick some our way. And there are examples of games that have done free-to-play really well, that haven't been shitty, even though those are the exception. But when you're paying $60, now $70 for a fucking game to then try to nickel and dime you for that shit is just unacceptable. And, you know, DLC is one thing. If I like a game, it's almost guaranteed I'll get the DLC, provided the DLC is worth it. This is not fucking DLC. Oh, it's a skin. Fuck off. I hate shit like that. So, and I honestly think that the main reason why they're doing My First Gran Turismo and they're titling it Gran Turismo, My First Gran Turismo, not Gran Turismo 7 Prologue or whatever, is because I don't think Gran Turismo 7 lived up to their expectations, and they are now trying to fix that. So like, here, try out the sample platter, guys. Of course, that's, you know, just my thought. And you know, the fucking the microtransactions in Gran Turismo 7 were especially egregious. Fucking Mary, they were trying to charge people $100 real world dollars for a single car. This Lamborghini, well, fuck you. Dude, if I pay $100 for microtransaction in a game, the developer of the game better come and suck my dick personally. Like, you know, it's bad enough to have microtransactions in a $70 game anyway, but fucking $100, you are out of your fucking mind.
Ah, hush, hush, my promising prodigy. Head for the castle atop the hill, and all.
And obviously, the community didn't respond too well to that. Not that they would have. So, you know, typically speaking, generally speaking, when they would release a new Gran Turismo game, it was a big deal because it would, each game was a major release in the series. You know, like, there's the Forza games all the time. Even Forza Horizon, the games launch very, very often. Which, there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, so they're more iterative. But Gran Turismo, they would only release a game every 6 or 7 years. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes shorter, but, you know, it's not like you got a Gran Turismo game every day because they wanted each Gran Turismo to be a major evolution in the series. So when a Gran Turismo game came out, it used to be a big deal because it meant, here's the new technical frontier in gaming. This is as good as it gets graphically for a racing game. You know, and even for fans, it's like, we're pushing the needle forward. This is not just the same game. But with Gran Turismo 6, or I'm sorry, 7, forgive me, 7, it honestly feels like they just basically took 6, which by that point was already close to 10 years old, and they added a few bells and whistles here and there, and then they slapped microtransactions on it. So it's like, great, the only thing you really fucking added was microtransactions. Terrific. And that combined with the fact, you know, that it felt like it was chasing the trend, it seemed super graphically dated. You know, and Forza Horizon has microtransactions, but they're all really simple. They're just like cosmetic skins and shit. I would say Forza Horizon is how you do microtransactions because you never have to put in a single cent to feel like you've gotten your money's worth after the game price. So, you know, and let alone spending $100 for a single fucking car. Jesus Christ. You know, it just feels like a far fucking cry from where Gran Turismo used to be. You know, Gran Turismo 3, for example, Gran Turismo 3 on PS2 was literally the best-selling Sony PS2 game. The only game on PS2 that outsold Gran Turismo 3 was fucking GTA San Andreas, which obviously took the world by fucking storm. And that was on multiple platforms. Okay, so to say that GTA was successful, or not GTA, what am I saying? I'm sorry. To say that Gran Turismo was successful and its peak would be putting in an understatement. I mean, it fucking dominated racing. In fact, the main reason why Forza Motorsport, and by extension Forza Horizon, came to be is literally because it was such a big fucking deal that Microsoft was like, okay, we need to have somebody compete with that because it was such a big deal. So it's like, even if I didn't really love Gran Turismo because, you know, I'm not really into sim racing that much, I still respected the series from a technical perspective and how ambitious they were. You know, like, you would not find a prettier fucking card game on PS2. It was the pinnacle of fucking graphics. At the time, it was ridiculous. You know, and the shit they managed to do, technically speaking, was fucking insane. So, for the record, most PS2 games, Mary, operated about 400p resolution, give or take. And many graphically demanding games would have frame rate problems. Gran Turismo 4 was one of the prettiest looking games on PS2 ever. I would say probably from a sheer technical point of view, probably the prettiest looking racer on PS2. And not only did it run at a lock 60 frames per second, it ran at fucking 1080p on PS2. It's literally one of only 2 fucking games on PS2 to run at 1080. For the record, we weren't even getting like the true 1080p games on fucking 360 and PS3. So for them to have, you know, Gran Turismo 4 be 1080p on PS2 was a big fucking deal. And the fact that it looked amazing and it ran fucking pristinely, it was a serious technical showcase. Gran Turismo 5. It took it a while to come out for PS3. One of the prettiest racers on PS3. Looked great. On top of which, when Gran Turismo came out, it was one of the first sim racers, Mary. It was one of the games that pushed gaming into sim racing and made sim racing popular. But by today's standards, it's kind of bare bones. You know what I mean? It doesn't have any of the good options, accessibility features, and stuff that people now come to expect from a game like that. And whereas other games evolved to have a lot more, like, a better campaign, actually good campaign, Gran Turismo kind of stayed the same. Or even, like, it took them fucking ages to add car destruction. You know, where your car could get beat down from wrecks and shit.
Long time no see. Did you miss me?
You know, and it sucks because it's almost like Gran Turismo now is a fucking husk of its former self. It also sucks because, well, it's not that it sucks, it's more of a personal thing, but because Gran Turismo is about Gran Turismo, it is constrained to real-life tracks, and I mean, for a lot of people that was a strength because all the tracks in Gran Turismo games are based off of real-life tracks, and they are essentially modeled That was one thing I will say that Gran Turismo's always done well. I mean, they recreated these tracks down to the pixel. But that doesn't leave them much room for creative level designs. You know what I'm saying? You know, whereas I feel like when I'm trying to figure out the way to put it. When I play a racing game, and when I play any game, I do for the escapism, to do things that I couldn't do in real life, to go to a fantastical world, you know. And so it's like I could drive a regular car in real life, you know, maybe not a fucking Lamborghini or whatever. But, you know, like, compared to Need for Speed, I couldn't fucking soup it up with nitrous and go at 200 miles an hour jumping over fucking traffic. So it's just never, stuff like that's just never held much interest for me. Same with sports games. I can technically play sports in real life. Like, yeah, maybe I couldn't be the next fucking Michael Jordan, but I could. You know, as a kid, I didn't have a great childhood, not due to any fault of my parents. And besides not having a great childhood and being in a dark place, I was incredibly social awkward, and I didn't have many friends, as I've stated before. You know, so I spent a lot of time by myself. Not having friends, not feeling wanted, not feeling accepted, and not liking the world that I was in. And games offered me an escape to a better place. Or a different world, you know? A cooler world, a fantasy world. You know, and that's why, like, so many people are like, games need to reflect real life. Dude, if games reflected real life, I would no longer be interested in them. Games don't need to be fucking real life. We're in real life. So, like, that's why they're like, games need to reflect the state of the world. No! No, they don't! The state of the world fucking sucks! I mean, art, all art is to some degree inspired by the real world. People paint, write, create, sing what they know. But there's a difference between being inspired by and literally saying, this has to match real life on every level. And that's where it kills me. Or I guess you could say where they lose me. You know, like, people were saying, like, I saw a bunch of black people saying, like, games need to talk about racism and slavery because, you know, they need to reflect the world we live in. And it's like, I guess I can't really speak for the black community, but man, if I was suffering from racism a lot of the time, when I went to play a game for my entertainment, I would not fucking want to have more fucking racism in my face. That's just me. And you know, if an artist wants to make their art reflect the real world, they can do that, but it shouldn't be fucking mandated, and that's what they're trying to do. Like, you get where I'm coming from, right? You understand what I'm trying to say, right? And I just, like, I can't even imagine what it's like to write something like that, or to create something like that. Imagine having the power to write, to create, to sing, whatever you dream of, whatever's in your fucking imagination, okay? And having the ability to do anything, endless possibilities, and then you decide to make it, like, what your life is already, every day. You know, and the best writers, or the best writers in my opinion, of course it's subjective, they will take what they know and infuse it with what, you know, what isn't. Like Stephen King, you know? He will have fantastical plots that have shit that can never happen in the real world, or you hope can never happen in the real world, because then we'd be fucked. But then he will incorporate bits and pieces from his life and the people he met, you know, what it's like to be somebody from Maine, what it's the culture, the aesthetic. So it's a mixture of what he knows and the life experiences he's had and fantasy. Where if it was just 100% based off of his experiences as a Maine, I don't even know what a Manian, I don't know. It would be fucking boring. It would suck. You know, because you always need a little bit of relatability to ground fiction. Okay, because if you just totally fiction, it becomes unrelatable. Like, you can't grasp the story. Like, you know, stuff that people take for granted, like, why is there grass in this story? Maybe this world doesn't have grass. Why is there oxygen? Why are these trees? Why are they speaking English? They would speak some freaky language. Why would they be human? They'd be some other creature. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if it was just completely alien, it wouldn't even be something that we'd recognize. It would be so foreign to us that it wouldn't be there. So, whether we believe it or not, whether we like it or not, we always put we put basic things of our existence in there. Most of the characters are human or humanoid. There's foliage, there's trees, there's all these staples of our existence, because that's what we imagine. We can't imagine a world without those. But then we take them and twist them and spin them.
Same as all of us, after all. Half and
The outwitting act is not within a script we did not write.
You need to have enough concepts to be relatable, while also still showing people things that they couldn't see in real life.
wonder where the shoes.
And this fucking thing, that fantasy should reflect reality, is literally antithetical to the very concept of fantasy. I don't want to hear about fucking real world problems in my fucking sword and board fantasy novel. At least not unless it's, you know, framed in a fucking larger context. You know, and like with like movies and stuff like that, people are pretty constrained. You know, they have to deal with what they have the tools to make. Practical effects are expensive, CGI is expensive, so I understand that. But you know, like say writing, there is no fucking limit other than your imagination and your vocabulary. So like, why, if you had no fucking limits, would you choose to make something like your everyday fucking life? It just doesn't make sense to me. It'd be like, imagine if all of the fucking Harry Potter books were just about the Muggles. Well, nobody wants to hear about a wizard. That's not in all real life. Although, of course, now, you know, those same people are fucking coming for J.K. Rowling. So... although I honestly feel that J.K. Rowling was really unfairly persecuted. But that's a whole different fucking kettle of fish. And honestly, just really my opinion. Because all J.K. Rowling really said was, there's a difference between biological men and biological women, and I don't like the fact that you guys are removing all female language and calling women birthing people. I find it disrespectful. That's what she said. That started the vitriol against her. Just saying, man, I feel like calling women birthing people is just kind of really disrespectful. Can we not do that? You know, and oh yeah, there's you know, biological differences between a man and a woman. And then people were fucking burning her books. They were talking about raping her, talking about killing her, talking about, you know, like, she should die, and harassing her. They fucking cornered her outside of her house and attacked her, physically assaulted her. They doxed her fucking family. And then, obviously, the huge campaign against J.K. Rowling honestly kind of made her hate them more. And they're like, well, over time, J.K. Rowling has gotten more and more hateful towards us. I fucking wonder why. It's almost like when you try to ruin somebody's life, they come to fucking resent you. Oh my god. It's like, well, she's just so hateful now. They literally tracked her outside of her family's home. Now, I want you to understand, her home is a castle. It's public record. This was her non-famous family's home. So it absolutely was doxing them.
Ah, the seed of doubt had near sprouted in my heart.
And they physically attacked her. And just, they can't even understand the fucking irony. Where they're sitting there saying, J.K. Rowling is going to cause trans violence. So the response to being worried about real-life violence is to cause real-life violence. You literally are doing the thing that you're bitching about her doing, or what you think she's doing. Because rebuking somebody is not physical fucking violence. You understand? Like, they were actually threatening physical violence. Her saying, I believe that trans people aren't valid, or I believe that a biological woman isn't a man, or yada yada yada, so on and so forth. You may not like that. You may find it personally repugnant. It's not calling for violence on those people. Okay? Saying, I don't like this person is not the same as saying, this person needs to die. The people that were attacking J.K. Rowling were literally saying, somebody needs to murder her. They're saying, hey, does anybody have her address? Let's go murder her. That is an actual call to violence. And then showing, you know, you can say, well, it's just words. Well, they showed up at her fucking house, so we kind of escalated past words at that point. Ah, fuck, I'm right there. It's no big deal. And I am disgusted, you know, with a lot of the things that they say and do. Like, you can't call women women. They may not identify as women. You should call them a birthing person, or a breeder, or a feeder. And I'm like, how is that more fucking respectful? We shouldn't call women women because it might hurt somebody's feelings, but calling them birthing person is a better solution. Some trans people were even calling them bleeders. Like, okay, that's just really disrespectful. Because I feel like if somebody called you a birthing person or a breeder, it would probably be offensive to you. And on top of which, they're fucking, I'm trying to figure out the words to describe it. They're talking about, we have to do this to be inclusive. We have to include everybody. So then they're trying to disclude all the natural-born women and men. Okay? It's estimated, Mary, that only about 0.5% max of people are trans. Okay? So half of 1%, and that's being generous. Probably less than that, but let's round it up to 0.5. Half of 1% of the population of the Earth is trans. So the other 49.5% is women, and the other 40% is men who identify as men. So we're saying we're going to uninclude 99.5% of the population to include 0.5 of the part of the population. How the fuck does that make sense? Okay, I'm gonna go take the other path. You know, and on top of which, I believe that trans people are people. That is the most important thing. They are entitled to the same respect, the same basic human decency, and the same rights as anyone else. Okay? Whether I agree with them or not. And it is ultimately their body and their choice. Bodily autonomy is one of the only things that people have under their control, what they do with their body. So even if I'm not a fan of their decisions, I respect their right as human beings to make those decisions. But, you know, so if they were saying, I am this, I identify as this, cool. That is your right. But then they try to police what other people think. You have the right to identify yourself as what the fuck ever. If you identify as a fucking Smurf, cool. That's, you know, your right. But where your right stops is when you say that I have to identify you as a Smurf. That would be like I demand that every person call me sir. That's how I prefer to be referred to. And you know, people tell me, go fuck yourself. I'm not going to call you sir. You can't fucking dictate what other people think. Or do. But that's what they're trying to do. And aside from the fact that that's overstepping, it's also just unwinnable. You cannot control what other people think of you. It is a losing battle. You will never win. You know, people should not be chasing external validation. You can't count on external validation. You can only count on internal validation. You being good enough for you. And then if you get validation from somebody else, that's great. But you can't count on it, and you can't make somebody do it. Yeah, sorry. I apologize if I'm ranting. It just gets on my fucking nerves. And you know, the delicious irony of it is that they talk about like religion, and they're like, well, you can't make us be Christian. You can't make us do that. How is what they're fucking doing any different than the overzealous fucking religious people? They're saying, I believe this is what this is, and I want you to believe this is what this is, and if you don't, you're a bad person. How is that any different than a super religious Bible thumper saying, well, I'm Christian, and if you're not Christian, you're a bad person, you're gonna go to hell. It's the same thing in principle. I believe a certain way, and if you don't believe a certain way, you're a bad person. So the irony of them shitting on religion when it's almost like their own fucking religion is wild. I'm sorry, am I boring you or frustrating you with my long-winded TED Talk? You know, and it can't be the way they want it to be. Okay? And at the end of the day, it's hard. It's really hard. But you cannot control what other people think. And even more than the fact that you cannot control what other people think, you cannot make everyone happy. Like, I get it, people want to please people, you know, but the truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter how good of a person you are, there will always be some person who disagrees with you or thinks you are shit. You could say something as seemingly innocuous as the sky is blue, and there would be one person who's pissed off at you, well, the sky is green to me. Pleasing every person is just impossible. It can't be done. Even the most like harmless statement will offend fucking somebody. So I don't think that you should try to offend people. I believe that you should try, within reason, not to offend people. And that having an opinion is not an excuse to be a dick. But at the same time, I also think that living your life based off of what everyone else thinks about you is not only a miserable fucking way to exist, it is an unwinnable position. So I think what I think, I believe what I believe, and I don't care if somebody likes it or not. I will hang out and meet up with the people that share my beliefs, within reason. Obviously, somebody doesn't have to share all my beliefs, but people I can generally get along with. And everybody else, too fucking bad. You don't like it? I'm sorry. I don't care. But that doesn't mean that I think I'm gonna, deliberately cause offense, because there are a lot of people like that who use, well, it's my opinion as an excuse to be a dick, and they cause unnecessary harm. I want to live my life in my beliefs in my way. And if somebody doesn't like that, then too fucking bad. But I also don't want to cause harm unnecessarily so, and it's not my opinion. Or it's not my goal to cause harm. So, maybe somebody thinks my opinion sucks, and it really bothers them. And I think, well, that sucks, but you just have to deal with it. But I wouldn't deliberately try to offend them. Nah, fuck them right there. So I'm not gonna, hide my feelings. I'm not gonna lie about how I feel. But I'm not gonna deliberately try to anger someone either. I'm gonna tell you plain, this is my opinion, this is how I feel, and if you don't like it, I'm sorry. And it's, normally I tell people, well, we can agree to disagree. And, like 99% of people on the planet, with that simple agreement to agree to disagree, could get along. Now it's like, oh no, you don't think how I think? Well, you're a piece of fucking shit. Gotta never be to give me for doing my sense of deals and do them. Oh hey, Sigma, it's great to see you. I'm getting by. I got the platinums for all 4 Legacy of Kain games that You can get a platinum on. Defiance hasn't been re-released. But I got the platinum for Blood Omen 2, Soul Reaver, and Soul Reaver 2. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Oh my fucking god. Okay. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna switch games real quickly. I'll be right back.